Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, gonna discuss the breakdown video of the undisputed world title fight taking place on Saturday, May 22nd, between undefeated unified junior welterweight champion Josh Taylor of Scotland. Taylor holds the WBA and IBF titles at 140 pounds as he takes on Jose Ramirez, the undefeated unified WBC and WBO champion, at 140 pounds. I'm doing a breakdown video of this one because you know what, guys? This is a huge fight. This is only going to be the 6th time in the history of the 4-belt era, which is about 25 to 30 years in that general area since the WBO, that was the last title, became a major world title. Back then, they were still considering the Undisputed title just the 3 belts between WBC, WBA, and IBF. But they recently in the past, actually, they became more legitimate when Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins became the first 2 to unify all 4 belts. That was in, I believe, 2004, 2005. And since then, since 2004, 2005 area, talking 17 years now, we've only had 6 men in all of boxing unify all 4 belts. And last year, Teofimo Lopez did it. And this year, we could have a 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th fighters do it. But this is the 6th coming up. Taylor versus Ramirez, 2 undefeated unified world champions. They both hold 2 belts. It's a huge fight taking place on Saturday, May 22nd on ESPN, as it will main event a free ESPN card. So you guys can get excited about that. That is huge. So I'm going to do the breakdown video where I ask all the questions and see what these guys need to do to win the fight. And then at the end, we're going to do, I'm going to give my prediction. So let's jump in with who I believe is the slight favorite going in, and that is the undefeated unified champ, Josh Taylor from Scotland. Taylor holds the IBF and WBA belts. Heading into this fight, Taylor really has fought 1 round in about a year and a half, realistically. He took on Kong Song something, some undefeated Thai fighter, in October of last year, or in September of last year, I believe, in what was a mandatory title defense. I don't know how that guy became a mandatory #1 contender, but he was. And Taylor made quick work of him, stopped him with a body shot in the first round, retained the unified belts. Prior to that, he hadn't fought in I believe it was just under a year since he narrowly defeated Regis Prograis in the World Boxing Super Series semifinals. In the finals, I'm sorry. He beat him to unified belts. Prograis was the #1 seed, Taylor was the #2 seed. Taylor won that whole tournament, three fight tournament. And prior to that, he really put himself on the map, beating Victor Postol. So his last 5 fights have been the biggest of his career. He beat Victor Postol to put himself on the map in a good, hard-fought battle. Then he went on to stop Ryan Martin in the 7th round of the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinal. Then he went on to beat Ivan Barianchik to capture the IBF title in the semifinals by a clean, convincing unanimous decision. And then he narrowly defeated Regis Prograis in a great fight where he was the underdog. Some people feel that fight could have went either way. He kind of did have a home field advantage fighting in the United Kingdom, but Prograis agreed to it. It was a good fight. It was a close fight, and it really could have went either way. That is the biggest of his career. This fight is definitely a win here, would be the biggest of his career, hands down. He's rolling in, and he's looking to score, and as I said, become only the 6th man to become an undisputed world champion. Now, here's the question. We're going to start with the questions. What does Josh Taylor need to do to win this fight? What kind of strategy does he need to have against Jose Ramirez? Well, I think it's not simple, but it's one, he's going to have the stamina to go into the late rounds. One thing Jose Ramirez, I got to give him credit for, is he fights hard in late rounds, especially in tough fights. He did it against Jose Cepeda and won the 12th round. He fought hard in the championship rounds against Victor Postol. Might have won him the fight. This guy is a guy that knows that works hard and fights hard late in the fights. So Taylor is going to have to make sure his training and his stamina is on point for this showdown with Jose Ramirez. He's going to have to be able to go 12 without a hitch. He is going to have to really box well against Jose Ramirez. He's going to have to really have those angles down. He's going to have to, when Ramirez starts to get close, he's going to have to hit first, in my opinion. Start with a jab. Stop Ramirez with his jab, and then follow it up with a short right hook, a straight left down the middle, or possibly move to the side and land a straight left on Jose Ramirez to, keep Ramirez off of him and keep moving. If the one thing Joseph Parker showed us against Chisora, it was constantly moving and using those angles. That's what won him the fight. If Taylor stands in front of Jose Ramirez, he's going to get caught. He could get hurt. And, that will play right into Ramirez's style. So stamina's got to be on point. He's got to use the angles. He's got to be ready to stick and move and really outbox Jose Ramirez in order to win this fight. I don't think he's going to win a power punching contest, and he needs to not be drawn into that kind of fight. So that's what I believe Taylor needs to do to beat Jose Ramirez. Now the next question to ask is, can Josh Taylor knock Jose Ramirez out? And to be honest, I don't think so. Unless he completely breaks down Ramirez and dominates him to where Ramirez is just gassed from a beatdown and he stops him in the late rounds. I don't think he has the one-punch power to hurt Ramirez. Ramirez is a very good size junior welterweight. He's going to be a welterweight one day, maybe soon. And he takes punches well. That's the one thing I've seen about him. He can take shots. And I don't believe Taylor has the power to knock him out. Unless, of course, he wears him down and finishes him in the late rounds. But I don't see him knocking Ramirez out. Now, can Taylor win a decision? I absolutely think he can. I think there's a couple ways he can win by a decision. I think it could be a close fight. I think he could win a close decision, absolutely. I also think that there's a possibility that Taylor is on another level than Ramirez, a step above him, and I think he could completely outbox him and outclass him and win about a 9-10 round clean one-sided decision. So that's also a possibility. Now, the next question is, what does it do for boxing if Josh Taylor wins this fight? Well, I think it's a good thing for boxing if Taylor wins. He's undefeated. And he's from Scotland, so it does a good thing for boxing, but it also does a good thing for boxing worldwide. Growing and learning a guy from the United Kingdom, that he's on point, that he's a top tier fighter. He could move on and face Teofimo Lopez. He can move up to welterweight, and he's that guy that not only won the World Boxing Super Series tournament, he also became undisputed champion. So it really is good to, for boxing, because we're going to have one solid champion at 140, and he's, he would be recognizable, and it would be really big for him. And what does it do? Well, I said, what does that do for Josh Taylor? That's the biggest win of his career, absolutely. He becomes undisputed champion. He goes into history books. This builds his name. It sets up those bigger fights. Lopez, possibly moving up to welterweight and fighting Terrence Crawford, or one of the PBC guys maybe, because he's got the name now. It's going to be huge for him. What does it do for boxing if he loses? I don't think it's going to hurt boxing too much, because it really is a 50-50 fight of two fighters that, I'm not going to say are unknown fighters. They're just not as well known, heading in. So
California 152 East.
So I think it's going to be good either way for either fighter, and I don't believe it's going to do boxing bad for either fighter to lose this fight. So what is it going to do for Taylor, though, personally, if he loses this fight? And for Taylor, it's, obviously it's going to hurt. It's his first loss. But I really think it's going to be a measure of how he loses this fight that determines where he goes next and how bad it hurts his career. If he goes out there and gets his ass whipped and gets knocked out, people are going to look at him, and obviously Ramirez is going to be seen as a big, big deal. But Taylor's going to be looked at as, maybe just the second or third best fighter in the division. He's not going to get the respect worldwide that he wants. So a loss is going to hurt him. But if he loses a close one, getting stopped late, winning a fight, or loses a close decision, I don't think it's going to hurt him as bad. I think he'll be able to get back into it, and people will believe that he is really on that level. So that's it for him. Now Jose Ramirez is next. What does it do for Ramirez? What does it do for boxing if Ramirez... I'm sorry. What kind of style does Ramirez have to put into play to beat Josh Taylor?
Use the right 2 lanes to take exit 356
pressure,
Street, California 152
but he needs
East.
to hit from angles. He needs to throw punches when Taylor is not expecting him to throw punches. He does not need to make it an in the middle of the ring fight. He doesn't need to chase Taylor. He needs to cut the ring off. He needs to make sure he's landing from those angles that Taylor is not expecting. Much to the way Brian Castano fought Patrick Teixeira. That's the kind of fight that he's going to have to do. He's going to have to cut that ring off. He's going to have to make sure that Taylor's not dancing and getting away from him and be able to hit from the angles. Taylor's not hitting from the angles. He's going to have to put the pressure on. That's a big key to winning this fight for Jose Ramirez, in my opinion. He has to put the
left
pressure
2 lanes
on.
To turn left onto California 152 East, East 10th Street.
Now, what can Ramirez win this fight by knockout? I think he can. I think if he puts the pressure on and lands a punch that Taylor does not see coming early, he might be able to end him early towards the middle rounds. I see more of a wear down, and I think that should be the game plan, is to try to cut the ring off and wear down Josh Taylor from movement and all that stuff, because it has been a year and a half since he's been in a real tough fight. A 12-round fight. It's been a year and a half, or over a year and a half. He needs to put that pressure on him, in my opinion, wear him down, muscle on the body, get on the inside, cut off the ring, not let him get away from him. That's the kind of style of fight that I believe that Jose Ramirez can do to win by knockout. I can see that happening. Can he win a decision? Yeah. I think that's less likely, because I think Taylor can win. But if he puts the pressure on in the right way, makes it his fight, makes it a close fight, and they're really grinding, he has shown that he can fight in the late rounds. And yeah, I think he could win a decision.
Quarter mile, turn right after subway on the right onto Cameron Boulevard.
Now, what does it do for Jose Ramirez if he wins this fight? Huge. Becomes undisputed champion. Guy from Northern California comes out, becomes undisputed champion out of nowhere, and throws himself into the mix,
Next
the
right
big
after
mix.
subway
He
on the
could
right
fight.
onto Cameron Boulevard.
He could go on to fight, Terrence Crawford. He could fight Teofimo Lopez if he wants to move up. He throws his name out there. That would be huge. He's a Mexican fan favorite type fighter. It would be big. What does it do for boxing if he wins? It's going to be good for boxing either way. As I said, either way these guys win. No matter what, it's going to be good for boxing, I believe. So, because it's just going to create a new star is what that's going to mean. What does it do for Jose Ramirez if he loses this fight? It's going to hurt, but it depends on how he loses. If he goes out there and gets completely dominated and outboxed, then I think it's people are going to look at him as possibly just kind of a mediocre, not as skilled kind of fighter. And maybe they won't take him as serious going forward, even if he were to move up to welterweight. But if he goes out there and loses a close fight, a tough fight, I think he could be in it. And I think, he could definitely, gain some fans, still have his fans, and he'll be able to build on his career quicker with that kind of a loss. What does it do? Is it, I'm sorry, guys. Jesus. Is it good for him, or is it, that's if he loses. I'm sorry, guys. So now the big question, what's my prediction on the fight? I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a somewhat close fight. But I believe we're going to see Josh Taylor outbox and outwork Jose Ramirez if his stamina's on point and he can really outbox him and outwork him. I think he's going to win a close decision, a somewhat close decision. I think it's going to be clean, to be honest. I think he's going to win in the area of, I think it could be a 115 to 113 type fight. Maybe one of the judges will have it that close. But I really see it more of a 116, 112 to 117, 111 type fight. But he has to be able to carry it into the late rounds. He has to be able to keep working hard in the late rounds, like Ramirez is going to push him to. And that's the way I can see him winning this fight. So, you know, Ramirez, it's close to a 50-50 fight. I really think Ramirez has a good shot of pulling it off if he can wear down Taylor. And it's going to be interesting to see. And that's all taking place Saturday, May 22nd, main event of ESPN, guys. The 6th ever Undisputed World Champion of the 4-belt era. Check it out. Can't wait to see it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.